So we have Super Jamoose back with us.
Hey,
We're gonna go elbow deep into the Ranger here.
get her done.
Now, the Ranger, as how do I want to put this? I'm not trying to be, tactful for one reason or another. Oh, hang on, in chat real quick. I've been told they were a replacement for Inevitables to make them more of a mook than a big boss. Inevitables, yes, I don't want to get into like edition wars or anything like that, especially if it's over lore and not mechanics. But they are law machines on a cosmic scale is a good way of putting that.
Think of them as the seconds within a minutes to an hour. They are the single digits in the greater sphere that all the machines and clockwork devices that belong to Primus. The Inevitables are his juggernauts. The Modrons are the tiny little drones, but that does not necessarily make them unimportant. They're also adorable. So you can't lose.
There's a really great picture of a parade of Modrons in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and a party's hiding underneath underneath a stone slab from them. It is very adorable, and I like it.
The Great Modron March, which happens every 289 years?
Whatever one of their cycles is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
anyways,
so
Rangers.
Rangers, I'm going to speak personally and anecdotally. And Jamoose, if you have personal experience or opinions, you can confirm or deny. Rangers, I think, get a bad rap as they're printed in this book because Rangers aren't generically good. For example, we were talking about barbarians or even fighters have a lot of really good combat abilities. Or even wizards. They have these spells that you could just use in a lot of situations. Rangers are competent and capable. They are absolutely able to put out high amounts of damage per round in combat to be survivable and to roleplay. However, they require context and communication with the Dungeon Master, I would argue, more than any other class. Because of the fact that they have the favored enemy. So, Jamoose, if you're my DM, and I came to you and I said, hey, can I play a ranger? We'll even use a Beastmaster Ranger. He said, yeah, sure. It's base class. I'm fine with that. All right. And I come back and I choose my favorite enemy and I choose my terrain because I have this idea. I'm an undead and construct hunting ranger, kind of like what we built last night in the channel. And I go through the forest and I'm looking for these golems and these undead that are haunting the place. I have this awesome character. I'm really built to go through forests and to hunt these things. And then you tell me, DM Jamoose, so you all are on a desert island.
With no undead and no constructs in sight. Nothing about it for miles. Yeah.
Well,
I have heard this one before.
Guess I'm a generic sword swinger. Whoop-a-doo-doo. Now, you might eventually get to a forest or whatever. So it's... and I actually bring up the subclasses real quick, too. But so Rangers are awesome in the things that they have customized themselves to do. And that does require good communication with the Dungeon Master. And DMs, I don't know, some DMs might feel like they're somehow giving something away by saying, well, I can't tell you where you're going to go. I don't know where you're going to end up. That's not necessarily true. You don't always have to be in a forest. And I think it would be unreasonable to think that a ranger who chose forest or Arctic has to always be there. But there are many of the abilities, as written in the player's handbook, that would require communication. If you're used to hunting orcs and goblins as your two humanoids, then where are the orcs and goblins? It doesn't have to be every single fight, but they should be there. They should be a part of the world. And even if not in a fight, the ability to interact with, to trade, or to track. And then a little pinch as well to the context for to continue the context for Hunter. This also requires communication because of your hunter's prey and your defensive tactics. Again, Jamoose, if you're my DM and I come to you and part of this was I'm a horde breaker because all these undead are coming swarming out of the forest and I see myself being able to like whirl and do all sorts of cool stuff. And you go, "Oh, that's cool." So you're on a desert island, and there's a giant floating jellyfish, a singular entity. Okay. So they give you Colossus Slayer as a generic, okay, this will work. But if you lean into Giant Killer and your DM's on board, if you lean into Horde Breaker and your DM's on board, you are really good in that instance. Defensive tactics, similar. Beastmaster, if your pet dies, you're connected to your pet. Hopefully it doesn't. It might in the course of an adventure. So the way that they acted and the way that they came back was a sticking point, especially if you weren't necessarily too clever. I don't want to say like you have to be a 300 IQ individual to play Beastmaster Ranger, but there's a lot more moving parts to it. And you might not consider the beast's tactics, or the ability to. I was watching Jeremy from D&D Time actually talk about this. If you take a flying snake as your beast, it can actually have a flyby attack that doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, and it's so small, it just it can like fly underneath your cape or something, and so it can be hidden. It can avoid taking damage, and it can strike out and retreat. Without attacks of opportunity to threaten it, let alone the buffs it gets when it levels up. So it's just a different type of vehicle, and so because of that, I think anecdotally, many people might not understand that Rangers aren't just a straightforward damage dealer or a straightforward even a half caster. Paladin casting is pretty straightforward. You can always dump your spells for a smite, or you can always cast your spells for whatever the spell says. There's a lot more tactics. There's I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, Jamoose? Does that make sense to you? Where they're very contextualized as a class?
To summarize what you're saying here, Rangers are too specific. You gear them towards one style or maybe like a small handful of styles. It says, I'm really good at slaying giants and nothing else. I am really good at hunting in Arctic environments and also the woodlands and the tundra and nothing else. If I'm ever taken out of that comfort zone, I'm okay, but I will never be optimal. And as a player, that hurts. That doesn't sound fun, does it? And to your point earlier, yeah, you'd have to work with the DM. Yeah, from the DM's perspective, from behind the screen, that means in order to make sure that they're having maximum joy, which I want to ensure, but that means I have to tip my hand a little bit. I have to reveal to say, well, you might be fighting a giant in the future. We might be going to the snowy mountains in the future, so maybe you want to consider Colossus Slayer, or you want to consider Giant Slayer, or you want to choose these favorite terrains. And to make matters worse, once you've locked yourself in, you can't change. You can't go back and say, I'm going to stop being an Arctic tracker. I'm going to learn to hunt in the desert.
Yeah.
Which, in and of itself, decided, that sounds kind of tricky, doesn't it? But to bring it into what we've discovered here with the Unearthed Arcana, we might have an interesting solution here.
Yes. So with the trend, we're probably going to go from a super specific type to something that's a lot more flexible. And,
but I think in this case, I think it's probably a good thing. But we'll see. Let's look into it.
We'll dig right in. If we want to learn how to swim, we got to jump in the water. And hey, speaking of, the Rangers are going to get something like that. Anyway, Deft Explorer, at first level Ranger feature, this would replace Natural Explorer. And so this is an option, right? You're making your character, and you have the option. Do you want Natural Explorer as a ranger, or do you want Deft Explorer?
Correct.
Natural Explorer. This is where you get the specific terrain types. Where when you make an intelligence or wisdom check related to your favorite terrain, your proficiency is doubled if you're using a skill that you're proficient in. And then difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. Your group can't become lost except by magical means. A lot of very specific things within a specific terrain, which are tremendously useful in that circumstance. And then we would get to learn 2 more of the 8 traditional biomes, one at 6 and one at 10. So instead, we could replace it with this suggestion with Deft Explorer. And so we would end up with 3 of the, or actually, I guess it would be all 3 in the order we want. We choose a skill.
That's what it means here.
Oh, sorry.
That you choose. Yeah, that's okay. When you choose one of the following benefits and then choose another at 6, another at 10. So really, what it comes down to are these 3 abilities called Canny, Roving, and Tireless. The only difference being what order do you get them in. That's what that means.
Which is a lot more merciful on the locale of the campaign. Yep. On the things that you need immediately. But eventually you'll get to learn them all, because you have traveled up mountains and through deserts, or presumably anyway, through all of this. So Canny, choose one skill: animal handling, athletics, history, insight, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, the list.
Or get your degree.
Yeah. the list of skills as per a ranger. You gain 1 proficiency in the chosen skill if you don't already have it, and you can add double your proficiency bonus to ability checks. Aha! This is what was brought up for Barbarian. Yeah.
Expertise.
Now, Rangers are presented as, you're not as skilled as a bard or as a rogue, but you're more skilled. Maybe that's why they thought to add it here, but it wouldn't hurt Barbarian, like you said. In addition, thanks to your extensive wandering, you're able to speak, read, and write 2 languages of your choice. Then take 2 more for free. Not bad. Good role play.
That's all right. Yeah.
Roving. Your walking speed increases by 5, and you gain a climbing speed and a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. Nice. 35 feet, or you're going Wood Elf or Tabaxi, and you get 40. You play in an Aarakocra, that would, well, now this is walking speed specifically, so this would increase, I guess, the Aarakocra's walking speed, but that's not too bad. You know, you get a little edge if you're trying to run away from someone or run into a combat.
We got a question here in chat from Shukantakina Uso. It says, what kind of languages, common, uncommon, or exotic? 2 languages of your choice. Yep. Full stop. Whatever you want.
This 5 would also be good for small races, for gnomes and halflings to round up to 30 as well. All right, or you could be tireless. As an action, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. I guess generally good. Temps at any point in time are all right, but again, probably stacked heavier on the low levels, and it won't be as effective later on. You can use this special action a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, is decreased by 1. Pretty cool. Mix a barbarian with a ranger, and you can auto decrease your exhaustion levels from straining yourself. Yeah,
tireless. Tireless is the champion here, absolutely. Although roving is also good. I mean, now you have. Why would you not dip 1 level into ranger just to get tireless? It's another second wind.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Actually. Now that you bring it up, geez, I didn't think of that.
It's so good. It's too good. I regret to say I think it's too good. I think that number should be reduced. Maybe it should be like a 1d8 or maybe a 1d6 or something like that. It's almost too much, but mechanically, it's great.
Well, is it the temps that's too much, Is it the exhaustion level, or is it the combination of both?
The exhaustion? No. Exhaustion is fine. That's kind of a nice little added kick-in bonus. That's okay. It's just the sheer number, and it's the equal to your wisdom modifier. So if I flip back to fighter, for
Okay.
example, it's akin to second wind,
Okay.
in that it's 1d10 plus your fighter level, and you have to finish a short or long rest before you can use it again, although you get other versions of that later. This seems way out of kilter if I'm going to compare it. And I mean, maybe it's unfair to compare it to second wind, but it seems like a bit too much.
Okay.
Great idea. Keep it. Great idea. But I think it needs to tone down just a bit.
It's a solid choice. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you know, how many people have ever said that they're gonna dip Ranger before? I don't know if I've really ever heard anyone in 5th edition say I'm gonna dip Ranger a bit. This would make it. This could give it that fun little splash, that choice. TJ Fate was suggesting maybe 1d6 plus wisdom. Gentleman role player, reduce it when multi-classing for balance if you have problems. So the way that 5th edition is written, though, that would be kind of complex to exclude that as a in a specific multi-classing, because 5th edition doesn't presume multi-classing because it's an option. So hopefully that provides some context for you there, gentleman role player. Shukan, exactly. Exactly.
That's the other problem for sure. I would make a case to say roving is also good too, but it's not as good as tireless. No way.
Yeah. Especially because this is so heavily balanced towards lower characters, or like it would favor lower level characters as well. It would be all right. So this is what I start with, and then 6 and 10, like we're talking mid and the end of most games. You're like, all right, well, by the time you're in the middle of the game, you're like, it's 5 feet or 2 extra skills. I can retrain. I might be able to retrain my skills anyway. So, all right.
Yep.
Rule tip: temporary hit points don't stack. That's a rule. That's not a variant.
Yeah, it seems like a very set sequence. It seems like your case is always going to be tireless, roving, canny. I don't see much cause to mix up that order. Not really.
Maybe if they put in a couple different, like, what if they gave you like 5 or 6 choices, but you could only get 3, because then you'd still have different types of rangers that could reflect similar to Arctic or whatever. It's reflavored from a terrain into your experience. Maybe if they put more options and limiting it to 3, although still the 1 is still really, really good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, favored foe as opposed to favored enemy. This would replace favored enemy. So when we go through this, imagine, why would you take favored enemy instead of favored foe, or the other way around? Because as this is written, this would present you a choice when you're making your ranger. Which one do you want to take on that level? All right, you can call on your bond with nature to mark a creature as your favored enemy for a time. You know the Hunter's Mark spell, so that would get added and wouldn't count against your number of spells. And Wisdom is your spell casting ability for it. You can use it a certain number of times without expending a spell slot and without requiring concentration. A number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. When you gain the spell casting feature at 2nd level, Hunter's Mark doesn't count against the number of ranger spells you know. And Awaz, welcome. Thank you for the follow. It's good to have you back, by the way.
I wasn't aware Coke and Mentos did that. Jeez.
Yep, it does. So we go from the broad, I am good at all goblins, all monstrosities, but you have to be presented with that family, to a Hunter's Mark, whatever's in a foe. Doesn't matter who or what it is. I'm just going to mark one creature at a time instead. Seems like the trade-off that we're seeing with this class variant Unearthed Arcana. Do you have insider remarks on favored foe as opposed to favored enemy?
I think this is the one instance where they're both still okay. Favorite enemy can still be very, very helpful, but this new one, favorite foe, is also really, really good. You get Hunter's Mark for free. It's a spell. You are casting a spell. You get it for free, and again, you can only dip one level. Dip one level into Ranger. You also get favored foe. Now that would stack very nicely with, say, sneak attack. Think on that for a second. So now you're starting to dip. Yeah, you got Hunter's Mark and your sneak attack, and you can just double dip that. Actually, I had a conversation very, very briefly on Twitter with Jeremy Crawford, the lead rules designer for Wizards of the Coast. And I called out something to mention to say, does favored foe still work with the ultimate for Rangers, which is Foe Slayer? Because you're using a spell, not necessarily an ability, and it functions in the same way. So just to clarify that. So it's really, really, really meant to be a full-on replacement for favorite enemy.
Okay.
So I still think they're both okay, but it's Hunter's Mark, man. I mean, that's just great to have that for free. You know?
And again, as a dip, making Ranger perhaps more versatile. Again, you could still dip as anyone. You could go Ranger Wizard. Nothing prevents you from doing so. But
absolutely,
the circumstances, all of the circumstances of Rangers are, as they're currently printed, are just that. They're circumstances. Where this is you can Hunter's Mark anyone. And I'd even say anyone that can fog a mirror, but you can Hunter's Mark an undead. So,
yeah,
a dragon or whatever. So yeah, it's making it more flexible. You have I don't want to say less powerful, but you have a more flexible, a broader ranger, a continental ranger, in a sense. All right, fighting style options. Which, hey, you want to dip 2 levels, pick up another fighting style, which are the 4 that are presented, plus the other 4 that are in this document. Archery, defense, dueling, 2-weapon fighting, and then the other 4 that are on page 12 here, if any of you are following along at home. And so, hey, go fighter ranger. Pick up several fighting styles, especially if you want to be a blind grappler or something like that. Have fun.
One quick question I saw here from
yep.
the Gentleman Role Player, which is a fine name. Would a creature know it's been marked by Hunter's Mark? If we look at the description of Hunter's Mark, the spell, there is no wording that suggests the creature knows whether or not they have been marked. So I would say, no, they don't really know, but you know because you're the one keeping your eyes and ears on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, unless there's something in the generic rules for magic where a creature under an effect of you knows, or specifically doesn't know, as some charm spells say. But I don't have that on the top of my head. In 4th edition, if a creature was under an effect of yours, it was aware.
But like charm person or suggestion.
Or a marking and whatever, but this isn't 4th edition, so I don't want to I don't want to stir that pot.
Anyways, back to Druidic Warrior here.
Yes, Druidic. Oh, and by the way, yeah, TJ, Fighter, Ranger, Paladin gets 4 fighting styles if they take Champion Fighter. You're just an all around. You're an all around magic using brawler.
That's really good. That's interesting.
Or we could take Druidic Warrior. You learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the Druid spell list. They count as ranger spells for you, and Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for them. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of these cantrips with another cantrip from the Druid spell list. Taking a look at Druid cantrips, Druidcraft is really good for a cantrip, in my opinion. Guidance is good. Mending is useful, especially if you're out in the wilds. Poison spray, produce flame. You're getting a lot more attacks. I'd say rangers are getting, if you want attacky cantrips, they are getting more use out of picking up druid cantrips than paladins getting cleric cantrips. And
I would agree.
I also want to double check because I think did Druid gain I thought Druid gained, Acid Splash. So then you could
Oh,
also
Acid
Acid
Splash.
Splash
Okay. Sure.
if you're
Okay.
abiding by all the suggestions in this. So yeah, you would get Acid Splash, Poison Spray, Thorn Whip. Ooh, Thorn Whip would be really cool on a ranger.
Shillelagh as well.
Shillelagh
In
and
Melee, yeah.
Produce Flame. And by the way, for all of you out there, you cannot Shillelagh 2 weapons.
No, only one.
It sound you get so close, you're like, yes, I'm gonna wombo combo this. And when you read the minutia of how Shillelagh works, you can only get one Shillelagh. So yeah, I would say that not that having a cantrip casting paladin's bad, but you're having a cantrip casting ranger is going to be better in a combat sense. And then of course roleplay on the side with mending or whatever. That's fine. It's fun. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah, Thorn Whip for roleplay reasons, yeah, and then use mending immediately afterwards. We've all been there. I think we've all been there at some point in time. We get you. Ranger spells.
Following spells.
Spells.
Expand the ranger spell list. Interesting, they get a smite. That's cool. Elemental stuff.
Elemental stuff. Meld into stone. That's interesting.
That'd be a cool one for a ranger. Yeah,
that's cool. They get revivify as well.
That's natural magic.
That screams Aragorn. Houses of healing kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dominate Beast. That's one of those things where you're like, that wasn't on the ranger spell list already. I could have sworn. Tongues. So yes, this is especially if it's going to replace the favorite enemy, where you get a bunch of languages as well. But they were always picking up languages as they travel. That makes sense. Awaken would be interesting, and Greater Restoration. Make them a little bit more support healy if you want. I'm fine with all these. A spell is a spell, though. In the aesthetic of a ranger, I think all of these fit.
Which leads us into spell versatility. We've already kind of touched upon this with some of the other classes, in that now you have the ability to switch out your spells on the fly during a long rest. Again, It kind of synergizes. I'm seeing the potential for a very spell-casty friendly ranger out of all of this. I don't know if that's what a ranger necessarily needed, but it's another interesting option, because now a ranger could be all three things. They could be melee focused, ranged martial weapon kind of focused, or they could be spellcasters.
I like it. I like the versatility. Still plays into ranger. Is good. Prime. Oh, right here. I'm gonna go back to ranger. Dun, 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 dun. Third level ranger feature replaces primeval awareness. You can focus your awareness through the interconnections of nature. You learn additional spells when you reach certain levels in this class, if you don't already know them, as shown in the primal awareness spells table. These spells don't count against the number of ranger spells you know. And so with primeval awareness, you're already blowing a spell slot to kind of get like a radar ping around you of certain creatures. That's also partially dependent or even majorly dependent on your favorite terrain, if you're in it as well. But so it's useful. Is it worth a spell slot? I don't know. Maybe not. A lot of people might think this is a weaker part of the rules as written ranger in the player's handbook. However, this is giving you just a lot more spells, and the spells more specifically. Again, you're going from breadth and a radius of miles to flexible specific instances of effectively simulating the same thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing some mention in the chat to say we skipped abilities. I'll just briefly go back here.
Yeah.
Spell versatility we did touch upon, and spellcasting focus was the other one. in that you can use a druidic focus as a spellcasting focus for your ranger spells, because rangers, up until this point, didn't require a focus in order to channel their spells. That's what we missed. Back to primeval awareness.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did touch on spellcasting focus. But yeah, Devil Lord, thank you for pointing that out. There's no new archetypes or subclasses, Shukan. We're talking about these are options to change the actual class and then tack on whatever subclass you want.
Yeah, this is not touching subclasses. Well, actually, Ranger kind of breaks that rule, but these are not just specifically subclasses. These are modifying the cores. They're modifying the core skeleton of all the classes.
So you can cast each of these spells once without expending a spell slot, and once you cast a spell in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Pretty good. Makes you very versatile. Makes you a tracker. That's what a ranger does.
This is where I have to say, if you have primeval versus primal, which is, okay, why... I don't see myself taking primeval awareness for the radar ping, as cool as that is, when I look at the spells offered by primal, and it's like, these are pretty much the same things. Or at least very, very close to it. It fills that niche, that tracker ability. And there's more options. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 different types of magical, maybe even radar abilities. And I mean, detect magic for free is always fun. That's always a good thing to have.
Yeah. I think except if it's a niche, I know we're talking about a niche ranger here, but a super niche, why would you want to take primeval awareness over primal awareness? I would take this even for roleplay or for combat. I would take this way more often than primeval because of just how broad this is and that it consumes one of your very limited spell slots. All right,
man, you could weave a story around that really easily. You just say, like, okay, as part of my training, as part of my teaching from my ancestors, say there's a 7-path step to reach primal awareness, and I know 7 spells. They say I learned how to detect magic, I learned how to speak with animals, leading all the way to the point where I am allowed to commune with nature. It just makes more sense rather than having a radar ping to say they're in the room, man. They're in the bleeping room.
Yeah, they're there, and you don't even know how many there are. Next up, we have at level 10, Fade Away, which would replace Hide in Plain Sight. Fade Away says you can use a bonus action to magically become invisible, along with any equipment you are wearing or carrying until the start of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So once per rest in magical invisibility, as opposed to you can spend 1 minute creating camouflage for yourself. You must have access to fresh mud, dirt, plants, soot, and other naturally occurring materials. So you're in a castle or a dungeon. This is difficult. Once you are camouflaged this way, you can try to hide by pressing yourself against a solid surface. You gain a +10 bonus to stealth checks as long as you remain there without moving or taking actions. Once you move or take an action or a reaction, you must camouflage yourself again. So Hide in Plain Sight is very niche to be super awesome, reliable, good, as opposed to just turning invisible. As per the spell. The spell, even the invisibility spell, lets you walk around. This is at level 10, which for many campaigns is endgame, or a solid mid-game for longer games. This is, you need it's super specific. You need access to these fresh materials. Then you can't move after already spending a minute. I get it. It's cool and cinematic. Like I have the end of the Predator movie in mind with something like this. But it's so circumstantial that or
you can just be invisible.
Yeah, or you can just be invisible. I guess the possible drawback is its magical invisibility. Your Hide in Plain Sight can't be dispelled because it's more of your skill that's hiding you, whereas this is magical. So there is a trade-off? Question mark?
I'm of the same mind. I think Hide in Plain Sight sounds cooler. I built rangers around that they just get like absolutely mudded up and like excess amounts of trees. They're just like a walking bush. I always love that. It just makes me laugh. But on the other side of the table, there's just straight up invisibility. So, pick your poison on that one.
Again, talk to your DM. Context matters. All right, so that was level 10, and now we are getting into the subclass of Beastmaster.
Yeah, this is the only one that affects a specific subclass, and that is the Beastmaster.
While wandering the wilds, a ranger encounters many sorts of animals, some of which the ranger might befriend. This friendship can arise from successful use of the animal handling skill or the animal friendship spell. If the resulting bond is strong enough, the animal might join the ranger on adventures. A ranger who has the Beastmaster archetype can form an even stronger bond, feeling almost like a sibling to an animal. A special type of beast awaits a Beastmaster in the wilds, a creature whose lineage stretches back to the beginnings of the world, a primal beast known as a beast of the air or a beast of the earth. Such a creature seeks out the type of companionship that a Beastmaster offers, ready for the two of them to battle the imbalances in the natural world. The primal beast is a special creature that a Beastmaster can choose for the ranger's companion feature. When choosing a creature, you decide whether it is a beast of the air or the earth, and you determine its appearance. Stories describe primal beasts that mystically change form to align with the spirit of their companion. When a primal beast is met, apart from a Beastmaster, the creature takes the form of a regular beast of challenge rating 1/4 or lower, as determined by the DM. And we get, I don't know if you want to go to the minutia, but here, of course, are stat blocks because you need it for your choice between you want a flyy boy or a crawly boy for your animal companion.
The way I think of it, and someone could probably correct me wrong here, but the hit point formula seems to be becoming kind of standard. I think it's on par with the homunculus, which belongs to the alchemist of the new artificer class. I think that's about the same. That seems to be what they're kind of drawing upon to be their new standard for hit point formulas. It feels a lot like, okay, the air has flyby, so that sounds a lot like a winged snake, and Beast of the Earth has charge, so it feels like a bull. So
wild boar, I think, is the popular,
or a boar. Yeah. So you get a flying snake or a boar. Take your pick. They're both good options, and you've got that primal rebirth, so you can revive them.
Yes,
that's really neat.
This is probably for many people. No. I want to put this correctly. Playing the Beastmaster is a lot more tactical and thoughtful in its traditional sense. Now, Beastmaster has gotten some errata. If you have an older 5th edition Player's Handbook, make sure you get the errata because it has already been tweaked officially in the errata, which you can download for free and are considered the official rules of the Player's Handbook, not splat material. But you have a lot of different options and a lot of ways to play all your options. And in many instances, your beast, because it takes your standard action anyway, your beast would actually be out damaging you in many instances as a ranger. I mean, you'd play a Beastmaster ranger kind of like there's a character in Devil May Cry 5, walks with a cane, has like a shoot, it's not Nero, V. I think his name is V. You would play your Beastmaster more like that, where he can make some attacks, but honestly, your beasts are doing the work. So you have to think like the animal, use the animal's skills to climb, crawl, fly by attack, do venomous strikes and all this other stuff. Or you can go with a more streamlined and simplified version. I don't want to call it easy version, like, people who play this are somehow not capable of thinking about the other Beastmaster, but this is presenting you two options. Decorate it how you want, but you have your two options, and if your animal dies, because it's a spiritual manifestation, it will come back to life after a minute. So you'd still have to presumably escape from or resolve the combat that it died in, but then it'll come back. Which for a lot of people, again, I've trained with this panther my whole life, and then whatever, like some rando orc gets a lucky crit and kills it. You're going to be kind of bitter because then you go through the process to bond again and to do this, or you just treat your animals like disposable creatures. Whereas this isn't a creature, is presumably more disposable and has fairly straightforward tactics. So it's maybe an easier, more straightforward play style for the Beastmaster. Thoughts on any of this?
It's a good start. I kind of get the feeling there should be more, like a Beast of the Air, Beast of the Earth. These are okay. Maybe there should be a couple more options. Maybe a couple of more other flavors they can kind of toss in. Some other way to kind of equalize and make that Beast companion really, really, really nice. But overall, Beastmasters are not my jam.
Okay.
It's not my preferred class for a Ranger. I like the concept of the Ranger. I definitely want to see that played more. Though if it were me, I'd go for Xanathar, and I'd go for like Gloomstalker or Horizon Walker or something like that.
Mm.
But they are focusing very hard on trying to make the core Rangers more appealing, more fun, and I think this is a step in the right direction.
I do agree, and I think that it's a generic term. It fixes what's broken about Ranger, although Ranger, just between all of us here and our collusion at our tabletop, Ranger's not broken. It just requires a different mindset to play and a different level of communication with your DM than what you might be used to with a lot of other classes. All right. Anything else to add then about the Ranger before? There's an extensive list of Rogue. Rogue apparently is so broken and needs
all the fixes. Let's just get right into it. Let's go to Rogue, because Rogues only got one present underneath the tree, and that is its aim. That's it. That's all they got. But it's good. It's good. It's a very good present.
You gain an additional way to use your cunning action, carefully aiming your next attack. As a bonus action, you give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn. You can use this bonus action only if you haven't moved during this turn, and after you use the bonus action, your speed is 0 until the end of the current turn. So, bonus action, give yourself advantage. Because...
Yeah. But you can't move. Now, I mean, that could work where you're sniping with a longbow, or you're already up in their grill, and you've got a dagger in your hands. This, I think, is what True Strike was supposed to be.
The cantrip?
Yeah. I kind of get that feeling that's what they really wanted it to be.
It's so unfortunate that True Strike is a full action, so you could do it every other time. And I would say that for all of you rogues out there who realize that sneak attack is supposed to be your mechanic, that's what makes you a rogue in many instances. I mean, there's other supporting stuff, but sneak attack is your big one. It's a little frustrating if you don't get to use sneak attack as often as you hope. And so by adding the aim cunning action, you can give yourself sneak attack every turn. So it makes you more of a rogue.
Yeah, enough said. That's what this is. I think that this was all the feedback that came in. They saw how people were playing the rogue, how they want to play the rogue, and Wizards of the Coast just followed the first rule of mass media, which is give the people what they want.
Yeah. Drizkill, just go barbarian, sneak attack all day. Well, I mean, if you go reckless,
there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, you'd have to be going reckless with I don't know, you're like this swole barbarian that's like coming in with a windmill attack, and you have some daggers in your hands or something, though, because sneak attack is it curates the weapons a little bit for what would be able to qualify. Yeah, sneak attack is rough when the only other melee member of the party is doing anything other than just standing next to that. Yeah, or is unconscious or runs away because of a fear effect or something. And so this is just a way for you to take care of yourself. And you know what? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Rogue wasn't broken. It's a little bit more roguey. It's fine. And this is probably controversial. Rogues are the best tanks in D&D 5th edition.
What?
Yes.
What? Shut your mouth.
Yep. Rogues are the best tanks in D&D 5th edition.
Yeah, it's uncanny dodge, man. That's what it's all about.
Damage mitigation, kiting, and you could do some AC shenanigans also, depending on... Of course, it's all depending, but even without terribly min-maxing, there's a lot of... Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. All right,
For sure.
Sorcerer.
Well, hang on. One last thing. I know that we saw in the chat much earlier on, some people were interested in asking questions about the rogue. I'm not seeing any questions.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not seeing any questions, so I don't know if they've been answered already, or... But I'll just put it out there to say, were there any questions about the rogue?
Good remembering.
I'm not seeing any, so
Yep, I guess
we could always come back to it, but I guess we can move on for now.
Okay, so Sorcerer has access to the following features. We get an expanded spell list. There's a Xanathar's Primal Savagery. I don't know what that does, but you get it as a cantrip.
That's the Wolverine one. That's the Grow Claws. 1 second here.
Oh, okay.
I had a druid in one of my seasons who was all about this spell. Now, damn it if I can find it when I need to. Hang on. Primal Savagery. Here we go. One action, self-instantaneous. You channel primal magic to cause your teeth or fingernails to sharpen, ready to deliver a corrosive attack. Make a melee spell attack against one creature within 5 feet of you. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 acid damage.
Oh.
After you make the attack, your teeth or fingernails return to normal. And like all cantrips, it grows as you level, so it becomes 2d10, 3d10, 4d10 as you get higher and higher.
It's a melee Eldritch Blast in a sense. And by the way, you can have a lot of fun if you have an open-minded DM and you have acid spells. Don't just inflict acid damage. Think about what you could do if you're hitting like a wooden door with acid and stuff like that. So in this case, you as a cantrip, you're just sort of like scratching at the door and leaving acidic marks. All right, so we do that. Grease, protection from evil and good, flame blade, flaming sphere. A spell is a spell, as Ivalon said. I'm fine with these. It is fun to think about because sorcerers, I like describing sorcerers as mutants, like from Marvel's X-Men or something. Yeah, you have magic, but they're actually it's you. And so if you have a sorcerer that can cast grease, it's like you just suddenly like sweat and oozed all the grease out of you and it just pooled around or something along those lines, or you're able to fling it. I like having that extra visceral fun with sorcerer spells as opposed to, like an austere wizard who would just simply cast it and manifest it. I don't think there's anything here that's, I don't know, bad, that somehow violates sorceressness.
No, I think this is all fairly reasonable. Vampiric Touch, I mean, that's a personal favorite spell of mine, but that's just cool that they have it.
Spell versatility, as per spell versatility we've read before. You can replace one spell you learned. This is as the Bard had. You can replace one spell you learned from the spellcasting feature with another spell from the Sorcerer spell list. And it must be the same level as the spell you replace. There we go.
Yeah, and that would include cantrips too.
Yes.
As we have established.
Font of Magic options, and this will
these
enhance your Font of Magic. When you gain the Font of Magic feature, you get access to the following ways to spend your sorcery points. Empowering reserves. When you make an ability check on your turn, you can spend 2 sorcery points to gain advantage on the check. Okay, cool. Kind of a steep price, especially because ability checks can absolutely be crucial. Not necessarily always for combat, but even in combat, if you are being grappled per se, it's a good extra way so that you can always convert your spell slots into sorcery points, and then if you don't spend your sorcery points, so what? But you can always spend your sorcery points to make more some more spell slots. But if you're not casting spells, so what? Ah, well,
But well, here's a thought here too, and actually, you're on the right page here too. So, Font of Magic, flexible casting is the core ability of that. You can also convert your spell slots back into sorcery points.
yes.
This seems kind of niche, but what if it was a case of you've got to persuade this one NPC to do a thing for you?
Yes.
Rather than relying on the risk of charm person suggestion,
Yes.
what if you just funnel this all into a charisma persuasion check or a charisma intimidation check? You see what I'm getting at here?
And
perhaps that's a more reliable number for you.
It also would mean that you're not going hocus pocus with a spell cast, spell stuff, and alerting people that you are a caster. Or, presumably, this would work in an anti-magic zone because this is you making the skills, not you manifesting magic to do so. And,
yeah, not bad.
And, if you're a public official in, let's say, Waterdeep, you probably have magic detection spells somewhere in your office because you're going to have no limit of people who have deep pockets who want to come in and mess with your mind to get a contract or something. Now, in this case, this sorcerer could come in and be more prone to influencing you naturally, or at least internally magically, than just setting off a bunch of magic triggers. Next up is Imbuing Touch. As an action, you can touch one non-magical weapon and spend 2 sorcery points to imbue it with magic for a minute. For the duration, the weapon is considered magical for the purposes of overcoming immunity and resistance to non-magical attacks. It doesn't give you... Go ahead.
When is the sorcerer themselves going to use this on their own weapon?
Well, this is you can touch one non-magical weapon. It doesn't say it has to be yours. It's not shillelagh.
That's my point.
Oh.
No. That's exactly my point. No, this is giving this ability to the paladin and say like, "Okay, go after this lycanthrope because he's pissing me off and he's immune to this stuff," you know?
And so it gives you magic weapons at second level without the bonus to hit or damage, but at least you can overcome that kind of damage resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a system that doesn't presume you have magic weapons, yet has monsters that naturally are presumed to exist that have that as a resistance, it's something to consider. That as a workaround, or it's a niche case, but something to throw out there. And it does mean that the sorcerer is it has a little bit of external use to the party as well. Because this doesn't require concentration or anything. You could just dump some sorcery points and buff people up for a minute before a combat or something.
Could be the fight winner.
Yep.
Next one is your Sorcerer's Fortitude. Yeah.
As an action, you can spend any number of sorcery points to roll a d4 for each point expended. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the total rolled. Okay.
It's a natural in that you have it as a core version of False Life. I mean, False Life by itself gives you more potential for one casting of it, sure, but I mean, this is just straight up sorcery points.
Yep.
TJ Fate asks, is there a limit to how many sorcery points you can have? Yes, it is. It is linked to the same number as your sorcerer level. So if I'm a level 5 sorcerer, I have 5 sorcery points. If I'm a level 20 sorcerer, I have 20 sorcery points. It's in your class table.
And that's how many you can hold on to. If you blow, let's say you have 6 sorcery points, you blow through 3, but then you eat a 3rd level spell to get 3 back, you go back to your limit of 6.
Yep.
So as long as you can fuel it, it's just a capacity that you can hold at one time.
Like a battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Not bad. Especially because sorcerers are kind of flimsy. This makes sense, I think.
Next up, third is a metamagic options. This is enhancing metamagic, which there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 different ones. When you choose meta magic options, you have access to the following additional options. Elemental spell. When you cast a spell that deals a type of damage from the following list, you can spend 1 sorcery point to change that damage to one of the other. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder. Okay, it's sorceress thing to do.
This is in my top 3 for just really, really, really cool things that they've added to this whole document. This is by far the most common homebrew question I've got from any player is that I want my fireball to be lightning instead. Awesome. But I can't do that for X, Y, and Z. This solves the problem. Or acid, or cold, or thunder.
Especially when 5th edition even just tells you straight up a damage type is a damage type. And so nothing stops you from just reflavoring Fireball to be an Ice Ball. But, this is sort of the official way to do it instead of just asking your DM. Even though the books say, yeah, you could do it, it's not really going to break anything.
Exactly. You're just changing the damage type, but also the versatility to be able to do that on the fly. Let's say you're fighting, what's a good example? A Shambling Mound. Shambling Mounds absorb lightning. So you guys discover that, and you're like, oh god, he absorbs lightning. Now the sorcerer turns around and says, hang on, I can change my lightning line. What the hell's that spell called? My god, I am so bad.
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt. Thank you. So now lightning bolt, I change it into lava beam, and just nuke the guy, or whatever I want. Change it to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or kind of thing.
A thunder beam, yes.
Yeah, nice.
I like it. It's thematic for sorcerers who have this innate magic. It doesn't break 5th edition. I mean, now, if you went with an ice ball instead of fireball, I guess you're locked into it always exploding in ice. So the versatility is nice, but, chromatic orbs exist.
True. True.
So this isn't novel. It's cool. Might give you a fun edge in the game, and it's another option among 8 already cool options. I don't think it overpowers any. It might be more attractive because it does give you more damage versatility, but I don't think that necessarily tremendously overpowers, or where someone who plays Sorcerer feels like they always have to take Elemental Spell.
Well, looking at chat here for a second, it's the Mega Man thing. If you've ever played it, you can just sort of like tap your shoulder buttons, you can rotate through your elemental weapons. Look at how much fun the chat is having coming up with the alternate spell names. That's a winner in my book right there,
Yes.
Anyways, Seeking Spell. Let's carry on here.
When you cast a spell that requires you to make a spell attack roll, or that forces a target to make a dexterity saving throw, you can spend 1 sorcery point to ignore the effects of half and 3/4 cover against the targets of that spell.
It's okay. I think that's a feat, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's Spell Sniper.
Spell Sniper, it turns spells into kind of magic missile.
That's not quite what this is, eh?
But it's ish, magic-ish, missile-ish.
Sharpshooter. No, that's weapon attack. Spell Sniper. Yeah, ranged spell attacks ignore half cover and 3. It does more things than that, but this is what it's riffing on,
Yeah, it's following the theme of we're going to take feats, which may not always be available, and turn them into class options, because it seems like a solid why not for the class.
Gentleman Roleplayer points out if this were 3.5 or Pathfinder, then cover would be more important because of tower shields. Yeah, I was a pretty heavy tower shield fan in those editions. And yeah, you're kind of raising a point. At least in my experience, cover, it exists. It is a rule I invoke sometimes, but not all that often anymore. Not really. So this one's, if it's a game where it's very heavy into wargaming, you've got kind of an XCOM kind of a style, you're going to be invoking half cover, full cover a lot. This is something that you want. But maybe not every campaign is going to need it.
Ship-to-ship combat might be good for it, too.
Oh,
like
that's
Ghost
not
of Saltmarsh stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, definitely.
And And then lastly, we have Unerring Spell. If you make an attack roll for a spell and miss, you can spend 2 sorcery points to reroll the attack roll. You must use the result of the second roll. You can use Unerring Spell even if you have already used a different metamagic option during the casting of the spell. Seems pretty solid. 2 sorcery points, you know, I think that's a fair price to pay.
Yeah. I'm looking at the phrasing and I wonder now, hang on a sec. Okay. Spend 2 sorcery points to re-roll the attack roll. Yeah, I think it negates. You must use the result of the second roll. I imagine you're going to hear that conversation say, well, I'll use it again. I'll keep doing it again. And I think you must use the result really negates that. But I just imagine, you know, everyone's going to get that conversation at least once.
All right, you hear that, everyone out there? Don't be a that guy. You get one. You get your one. Come on now. But honestly, at 2 sorcery points a ding, that's also a hefty price to pay. I mean, until we're talking like you have a lot with like level 10 and up sorcerers, you're really hoarding that. So it's that's why I think it's fair as well to get a simple reroll. But you know what? That could be that clutch game winner, and you'll be happy you took it.
Could be the fight winner. I agree.
Now I believe it's time to get kind of creepy. We got to explore the Warlock.
Thus
TJ,
we must plumb the ancient depths down to forgotten Carcosa and extract the forbidden knowledge that is better left buried and return it to the surface. I'm sorry, this is your show. Continue.
Oh, no, it's cool. I got this play. It's called The King in Yellow. Do you want to read the script? It's really compelling.
That'd probably be right up my alley.
Yeah, oh man, once you hit Act 2, it... TJ was talking about cover, because you're... natural terrain as well. If you're in swamps and forests and whatnot, cover... in like a trekking, a natural exploration campaign, that could come in handy as well. James, I'm going to catch up in chat real quick, Jamoose. When I was running huge random dungeons on Roll20, the unique terrain in combats totally made the encounters memorable and unique. Oh yeah, aside from just open like boss arenas, yeah, I love cover and statues and interactive whatever. It's a lot of fun. Mitten, oh no, your laptop battery's about to die. Well, hang in there as best you can. Palladion's gonna be that guy. I'll play my wild mage and burn every sorcery point to unerring spell. Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast is not required on a warlock. Fight me.
Nope.
We have built amazing warlocks that have had no use for Eldritch Blast, and they're fully functional. In fact, we made a fully functional non-Eldritch Blast using Charisma 12 warlock in our workshop, and he was amazing. I loved him. Anyway, looking at the warlock, this is going to be an enhancement to Pact Magic. Because remember, warlocks are strange. They use magic, but not in the way that other magic users use magic. They have their own special variety. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace one spell you learned from this Pact Magic feature with another spell from the Warlock spell list. Does this sound familiar, everyone? The new spell must be the same level as the spell you replace. Okay, continuing on. I'm fine with that, just like I was fine with all the other variants of this.
Yeah, no problems here.
Would you argue that this is probably even more potent on a Warlock because of the scarcity of their spell slots?
I would agree. Yeah, considering you only have, 2-3 spell slots a day, but, they're always at full clip, certainly. But being able to flip and change on the fly, we had a Celestial Warlock in my second season. We were running Tomb of Annihilation. And I know that she complained a fair bit to say, wow, I'm really locked into these spells. I wish there was a way to really flip and change them. This would have helped.
Mm.
But
yeah, so
let's get into
I
the
think they
spells
tremendously benefit from this.
Yeah. And there are some tasty, tasty, tasty spells being added in.
Any that are catching your attention here?
Well, I see the chat is also getting into Modify Memory. That's always fun. Animate Dead.
Yeah.
Planar Binding, Teleportation Circle, Create Homunculus. That's very on brand, as is Magic Jar.
Yes.
That's very lichy kind of flavor, if you get what I'm saying.
Yep, these are all. Oh, seeing Animate Dead. Seeing Animate Dead. I for a while I thought that was a Warlock spell. Like any Warlock could do that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that there because that. I know it's stereotypical to play a creepy Warlock. They all don't have to be creepy Warlocks.
No.
But a lot of this just plays into things that I would have thought that they'd have because they play with reality. They play with extra planes and to modify memory and to do this with the dead and whatnot. So it makes Warlocks more Warlocky. I'm happy. I have no contentions against any of the spells that are up here.
Definitely not. Yeah, chat also put Bubonic One mentioning the 8th level spell Abi Dalzim's Horrid Wilting, which is it's one of those spells. You read the title, I have no idea what it does, and it's like it's gonna be good. It's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah, I don't care what it does. I want my Warlock
yeah.
to have it because I just want to say I'm casting Abi Dalzim's Horrid Wilting.
Abi Dalzim's Horrid Wilting, 1 action, 150 feet. 1 requires a bit of sponge. Just instantaneous. You draw the moisture from every creature in a 30-foot cube centered on a point you choose within range. Each creature in that area must make a Constitution saving throw. Constructs, non-death, artifacted, and plants and water elementals make this saving throw with disadvantage. A creature takes 12d8 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Non-magical plants in the area that aren't creatures, such as trees and shrubs, wither and die instantly. Heavy flavor.
Yeah.
Crazy powerful damage. Yeah, that's tasty. That is prime cut.
If you ever meet a person in your life also named Abi Dalzim, you better learn magic because that is an awesome name from someone who's obviously magical. This lives up to all the hype that I hope that the name carried.
Let's have a look at the invocation options.
Yeah. So like meta magic.
There's some tasty stuff here.
But kind of like, would you say invocations are like meta magic? They're probably closer to Battle Master. They're, why am I dropping on the name? They're tricks they get in battle. It's probably closer to that.
Maneuvers.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, they feel like maneuvers. They also feel like mini feats to me.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it as well. Yeah. All right, so let's see what we get here. The 2nd level Warlock will enhance this, so we're going to expand our list. We have Bond to the Talisman. While someone else is... Oh, shoot, that's right. You know what?
Yeah. Let's flip ahead a little bit.
Yeah, we're actually going to have to flip ahead because there is a packed boon option.
Pact, yeah. So friends of the Warlock will know that you get to pick a patron, and then you also get to pick a packed boon option, which is always going to be the chain, which gives you a familiar, the tome, which gives you a book, or the blade, which gives you a weapon. We have a 4th option, which is the talisman.
And that is your patron gives you a special amulet, a talisman that can aid you or anyone else who wears it when the need is great. When the wearer makes an ability check with a skill in which they lack proficiency, they can add a d4 to the roll. If you lose the talisman, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous amulet. The talisman turns to ash when you die.
Yeah, note something very careful about this. It's a d4 to something you lack proficiency. Okay, that's all right by itself, but you can give it to someone else.
Yes.
You can place someone else in your party under the protection of your patron. So it's a minor buff mechanically. Flavor-wise, this thing just drips. I love this concept.
Yeah, so it's like a haunted cameo, or it's some jewelry that fell from the heavens, or a treasure that was imbued from the depths. Just something about a talent, because of course, I mean, we're talking magic gems and jewelry. We're already suckers for that sort of stuff when magic's involved.
Oh, of course.
I like this, and that you can spread it to other people. Of course, that's probably how you go on a recruitment drive. You go up to someone and you're like,
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
The first round is free, and then the next round after that is like $1.95.
And in fact, we're going to get to some interesting stuff because there's Wait, didn't this have some new spells also, or am I thinking of something else? I might have been thinking of
Let's
something else. But still.
let's head back up here.
Yep. So, of course, they're going to offer support for a new pact through invocations. In the player's handbook, each of the 3 had 2 different invocations that would support it. And so here, we're getting a 12th level Pact of the Talisman. While someone else is wearing your talisman, you can use your action to teleport to the unoccupied space closest to them, provided the 2 of you are on the same plane of existence. The wearer of your talisman can do the same thing using their action to teleport to you. You know, not spooky at all. You're holding on this talisman, and at any point in time, the Warlock can just, manifest behind you. No, you
Suddenly
smell
appears
different
like...
when you're awake. Oh. Creepy? Yes. Warlock? Yes.
Yikes.
Hey,
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, TJ, nothing. The meme, the nothing personnel kid. This just says while someone else is wearing your talisman, maybe your DM would kind of get away with someone holding it. TJ, what if your talisman, you looked at the goblin or the ogre or whatever, and you flipped him a shiny, and he said, "Hey, catch!" Fing, 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 fing. And then the creature just sort of looks down at this thing, and then there you are, like Shia LaBeouf, right behind him, getting ready to eat him. And it's cool. As you said, it drips flavor.
Oh my God, he's not dead. Shia surprise. There's blood everywhere. Someone who pointed out here, James Norris, said useful for Divine Warlock to heal. Yeah, I think Talisman would synergize really well with the Celestial Warlock. It just seems like that would be really fun to kind of combine. But anyways, let's get back to the invocation.
The Bodyguard Warlock as well would be interesting. Here, you hired me. You hold on to this, and I'll protect you.
Yeah.
All right, Chainmaster's Fury. So now we're getting a 3rd invocation for Chainmasters. As a bonus action, you can command your familiar to make an attack. Cool.
Yep, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because they're already able to act on their own accord, so that's neat.
Yeah, you just squeeze out maybe a little bit more damage or something along those lines. Not bad. Eldritch Armor, Pact of the Blade. So now we have 3 for Pact of the Blade.
This one's very, very good. I like this one a lot.
As an action, you can touch a suit of armor that isn't being worn or carried by anyone and instantly don it, provided you aren't wearing armor already. You are proficient with this suit of armor until it's removed.
Iron Man Warlock.
Yep.
Just saying.
You keep it in a chest on the wagon, and you're going from town to town, and some bandits come out. They surround you, and you just dip into the back real quick. You touch it, and you come out, and there you go.
Gentlemen, roleplay. There's no duration on that. No, there is not. And yeah, a plate mail wearing Pact of the Blade Warlock.
Oh yeah,
it can be done. It can be done now.
I also would challenge you this. You have kind of a warlock who's like an urchin, or just someone who's more metropolitan. Could be fey, could be kind of a trickster or something. Maybe they're being chased through the city streets. They duck into a shop that sells
Nice.
clothes on a mannequin. Yeah. You touch the mannequin, and suddenly, who's to say that clothes aren't armor? I may be wearing a t-shirt, but I'll tell you what. This would prevent some bugs from biting me, or this keeps me a little bit warmer against a breeze. And so who's to say you can't disguise yourself or protect yourself if you run into a store in a city and just suddenly you get the latest fashion, or you want to hide, or again, if you're a trickster, you can use some magic to change things, but maybe you want, I don't know, the clothes to blend in or whatever. If it's armor, or depending on the liberty that your DM would allow you, it says suit of armor. Could you kind of, I don't know, put on a helmet real quick?
I would do you one better. It's same idea, although I'll run into a blacksmith shop and find the biggest, heaviest suit I can find and just turn around and just beat him to the punch.
So there you go. Think outside the box. and always practice your Eldritch armor. Don't wear Eldritch armor that is white after September, otherwise you're not going to be in fashion.
Yeah.
All right.
Gentleman role player, it says suit of armor, so no shield. True, because a shield is not considered a suit, but still, strap it on plate, that's 18, or whatever suit of armor is going to benefit you at the time. I like the idea of the clothes. Yeah, I would rule that as well. So, lots of options here. Eldritch Mind.
Or sometimes when you're asleep and you don't want to wake up, you just reach over to the chair where your pajamas are, and you just you're just tired. You're like, I'm done with this. I'm starting the day and I'm done with it. You just reach over and tap your pajamas, and you're ready to go. All right.
The flavor for that, I think of it like Iron Man, where it's like, okay, I put that on, and it's just like click, 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 like it just sort of forms on me. The prehensile Mark 42 kind of suit. You could do the Great Old One Patron, where it just liquefies and oozes onto you.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking cool, combat, and practical. I'm going irreverent and useless. So, anyway, Eldritch Mind. Now we're going to get a Pact of the Tome expansion here to be even more tomey. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your concentration on a spell. Okay.
Cool.
I like it.
You get that at level
your
1.
mind is, that's the whole part of the Great Old One. It plays into it. I like it. Nice and easy. Far Scribe, Pact of the Tome. We're going to another one. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission... it wasn't a spell, it was the invocation I was thinking of. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your charisma modifier. You can cast the sending spell targeting a creature whose name is on the page without using a spell slot and without using material components. To do so, you must write the message on the page. The target hears the message in their mind, and if the target replies, their message appears on the page rather than in your mind. The writing disappears after 1 minute, and as an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching a name on it. Creepy, fun, mechanically useful.
Documancy.
Yes. Documancy. Or, onomancy. True name stuff.
Yeah.
Will you sign my book, please? You get wonderful benefits. Meanwhile.
But this also pairs very, very nicely with the next one, which is Gift of the Protectors.
Yes. Oh, and secret messages. That's right, Bubonic One. You know, when you're Harry Potter and you just got to make a friend, any Tom Riddle in a book will do. Gift of the Protectors, another Pact of the Tome feature. So these are really allowing you to super specialize in your pact, not just throw in kind of a cursory one. Another new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number. By the way, never sign your name in a. Never sign your name in a Warlock book. Come on.
This is like giving your character sheet to the DM. When that happens, you screwed up, son. You screwed up.
But if you trust your friend who's playing this as a party member, contain a number of names, you go to Charisma modifier minimum 1. When any creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching it. Now, because no other creatures can benefit, it would seem that the book would show you kind of a status, right? If you have the names and someone took that would be lethal damage, but you have this magical Pokemon focus sash on it, like you could almost monitor people with that. Because you could see who's invoked that magic, whose name maybe is turned blood red in your book because they're on the verge of death, or black or something like that.
You know, this feels like another one of those abilities that could be really fun in the hands of the DM.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a villain that has written the names of your party into their book. And then when your party gets into trouble, as they will inevitably do, this relentless endurance triggers for, it triggers for the cleric and the party. And then the bad guy knows, like, I know who owes me a favor.
Ooh.
They can call it in. Know what I'm saying? My only gripe with that is I don't like the name. I think it should be not Gift of the Protectors. And it could be. Like, this seems more celestial flavor. but maybe it could be like, I don't know, like Claws of the Benefactor, something more fiendish in tone. Other than that, great idea. I love this. I like that they're giving Pact of the Tome more stuff, because up until this point it was kind of meh. These two abilities, and even Eldritch Mind, those three right there, those are great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, Warlocks were cool. This is making them even cooler, and I'm excited for it. Investment of the Chainmaster. When you cast Find Familiar, you infuse the summoned familiar with a measure of your Eldritch power, granting the creature the following benefits. It either gains a flying speed or a swimming speed of 40 feet. The familiar no longer needs to breathe. The familiar's weapon attacks are considered magical for the purposes of overcoming immunity and resistance. And if the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC, which I'm going to presume is better than an Imp's. Because remember, with the Pact of the Chain, you actually get Quasits, Imps, and a couple other fun uncommon ones.
Yeah, so you're just making your familiar that much better.
Yes.
And it's something you can get very early. You can pick it up at level 2 and just run with it.
Yep. Yeah, you get a friend that follows you around and is really, really cool and strong. All right, now another protection of the Talisman for Pact of the Talisman. Because, we want it to keep up with the others, too, if we're going to make it viable. When the wearer of your Talisman makes a saving throw in which they lack proficiency, they can add a d4 to the roll. Cool?
Yep.
Not really overpowered, kind of paladin-y. But yeah. How many people make Sorkadins, or Sorkadins, but also Lockadins too?
Or very Palox. Rarely. I've seen them used to interesting effect though. Just adds to it, right?
But yeah, I like it. It supports other people in the party. Yeah, I don't know really why it's 9th level though. Because adding D4 to a save that seems to be coming in kind of late as a 9th level prereq. Unless I'm missing something, like it simulates a spell that does the same, or the Paladin's aura. I mean, not that it should compete with a Paladin to out-Paladin a Paladin, but...
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd make it a little bit lesser. Make it 5th level or
I think 5th, yeah. 5th would be the next prereq level, I think.
For sure.
Lastly, another Pact of the Talisman feature, Rebuke of the Talisman. When the creature of your Talisman is hit by an attacker you can see within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to deal psychic damage to the attacker equal to your charisma modifier, minimum 1, and push it up to 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. Cool. I like it.
It's the damage is kind of meh, but it's that free 10-foot shove, and you see here there's no save against that. It's just you get shunted 10 feet that way off a building or something like that,
Yeah, you use the terrain. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Yep, no save. It's just don't harm the person I'm protecting. Yeah, I like it. All right, so we went over the Pact Boon option, which now made the above make more sense. Hopefully, they probably should have reversed that. Anyway, all right, last one. If you're ready, I'm ready to dip into the wizard.
Yeah, let's get after it.
The wizard. Dun, 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 dun. Cantrip versatility. We've already discussed it before. Swap out your cantrips. Cool. Why not?
Go
for it.
Why not? Why not?
Wizard spells. Yeah. Now, wizards already have a lot of spells. You might be saying, what?
They have all the spells.
What the heck? Wizards don't have spells? And especially one that caught me. Speak with Dead.
That, I can see why, because it's meant to be more the divine, augury, shamanism kind of ritual, and then they finally said, wizards can have it too.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, because this and augury, it's kind of a cleric dip, so it's sort of maybe a slight nod to the Mystic Thurge from 3rd edition, where you're kind of a blend of both there.
Right.
But yeah, and then divination. So whatever, a couple cleric spells that wizards probably do anyway, just a little differently. They look into a crystal ball or whatever. necromancers use necromancy to speak with the dead. Who knew?
And now divination wizards can actually have divination as their school might suggest. So hooray.
Yeah. We're named after the entire school, but you know what? They didn't see that coming.
We didn't take the correspondence course. We can't do it.
Hey,
but after all that, that's it. Nothing
that's
else
wizards.
For wizards. Very, very small amount of stuff.
Yeah.
And that takes us at last to the end of the documents.
Which...
It only took like 4.5 hours. Holy jeez.
But you know what?
But we learned a lot.
It was a great journey. I had a ton of fun talking with you, getting your point of view, hearing, how you might use it, or if you've had similar things in your game. And hopefully I was able to share some fun stuff from mine. And that's just the two of us. We've been having about, 30 people in chat.
Consistently
all night long.
About 30 folks here. So
on a Friday night.
Yeah.
When these people could be doing literally anything else.
Or watching PAX Unplugged, which also happens to be this weekend. So, double trouble. Hey.
James North, Super Jamoose's disembodied voice +1. He has an amazing voice. I hope I can come across like only at least half as clear and resonant as our good old Super Jamoose here.
Bubonic 1. Wait, does that 1d4 stack with Bardic Inspiration? Yes, it would.
Yeah. It would stack also with the Paladin's aura too. You want to make sure you never fail a save. Be, I guess, a Paladin Warlock of the Talisman, and not only project your aura, but also give an extra +4 on top of it. Or have one of each in the party. And
go full heal bot if you wanted to. Just be Paladin with Lay on Hands, Celestial Warlock that has light, Pact of the Talisman, auras for days, and add Bard for Bardic Inspiration just for good measure. Your super support man, or lady as the case may be. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a tank, but you're just painted white with a red cross on it, and so you're just like a heavily armored combat ambulance.
Would the talisman benefit half proficiency / jack of all trades? I don't. That's actually a good question.
Well, jack of all trades can only be applied to skills in which you are not proficient, and so if what it's looking for is a skill in which you're not proficient, then that would seem to combine.
Yeah, let's take a look here. So, jack of all trades. Add half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, any ability check you make that doesn't already include your proficiency bonus. Now, Pact of the Talisman says, when the wearer makes an ability check with a skill in which they lack proficiency, they can add a d4 to the roll. I would say yes.
Yep.
It would stack.
If you go Bard Warlock, which could be again you're doubling up on charisma casting, that would be like a Bard Warlock that has a lucky coin, and it might like flip the lucky coin to get even better Jack of all trades results. Yeah, give the talisman to the Bard. Gotcha.
Yeah, you'd be like super expertise, and that it's a case of, wow, okay, so either Jack of all trades covers it, or you have expertise, or if all that fails, your patron is all like, shut up, I got this. Yeah.
Xbox Aaron 85, thank you so much for the follow. I hope that you've been following along and that you've enjoyed the conversation that we've been having all night tonight. Well then, any final thoughts, Jamoose, on this? Do you think this is going to manifest as specifically Player's Handbook 2? Is this going to be a Xanathar's Guide style? It might as well be a core rulebook, even though it's not. Do you think that this is actually going to trickle out in a series of modules? Which in 5th edition they've introduced new content through modules, which is an interesting choice. Not that I'm opposed to it; it's cool. But how do you think this is going to manifest in the coming year? Because I do think it will.
We had this conversation earlier on to say, thought that you saw a tweet from a wizard staff member that said this is not going to become PHB 2. It's just not on the card. It's just not going to come out that way. Now, I have been unsuccessful in finding that tweet, so I can neither confirm or deny.
Okay.
But if that's true, if we assume it's true, we're not going to see a Player's Handbook 2. But here's my prophecy on this. We saw the first round of Unearthed Arcana for 5th edition, which eventually resulted in Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yes.
We saw things like the Forge Cleric, the Grave Cleric appeared, the Celestial Warlock appeared, the Hexblade came back into action. That became Xanathar's Guide, which is a great add-on. Unless you want to keep to the core, which is perfectly fine, but I really like it, not only because of the new options, but because they revisited things like downtime and item crafting. And there's more spells, and there's a deeper look into how to craft a character's backstory. Really cool. So another Xanathar's Guide, in a way, I think is what we're looking at. I don't think we're getting to 5.5.
Oh, you beat... Oh, Jamoose!
No, I don't think...
You're too clever by half. You beat me to it.
I don't think we're going to see 5.5. No way. We're still not there yet. But we've... Every year, we have had a flavored something. It is so-and-so's book of stuff. We've seen Volo's Guide to Monsters. We've seen Mordenkainen's Homophones. We've seen Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So I don't know what the blankety blank is, but I do have a prediction as to who the character is going to be. I'll give you that.
Oh, all right. You all hear it. You're hearing it here first. We have a date and a time, at least as we're broadcasting live. It is December 7th, 2019 at 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time. SuperJamoose, you ready to lock in your prophecy?
Yeah, I'll lock in my prophecy. Like I say, I don't know if it's going to be like Tome of Stuff or Book of Secrets or Workshop Manual of Blueprints. I don't know what it is. But I think it's a long shot. I think the character is going to be Vi.
That name isn't bringing... Should I feel ashamed? Who is the character?
So Vi is a gnomish artificer who was mentioned recently in the Acquisitions Incorporated. If you've been paying attention to the artwork for the Eberron book, if you remember the controversy we had earlier in the year where it was that blue artwork of a lady on the front holding a gun,
yeah.
That is Vi. Vi is a character created by Jeremy Crawford, who is the lead rules designer of D&D. She was used in the Ravnica arc. She was a kind of like a vaping gnome, very sassy, very smart. She created the Cosmo Hopper. So I think we're going to have Vi, the gnomish artificer, as the person heading up this tome. Also, she's from Eberron. That's her home world. That's where the artificer came from. This new book, it has to reprint the artificer and add more stuff because that's going to bring it to the masses if you're not interested in Eberron. So my vote is Vi, the artificer's book of stuff. That's what it's going to be. 2020.
In which case, Raz, I mean, we could be seeing Spelljammer content in 2020. And Jamoose, I appreciate the lore bomb. That makes a lot of sense. See, I thought you were going to go with like a tried and true like Elminster. And we'd have Elminster on the cover, like smoking a pipe and just sort of being Elminster. Or,
also possible.
Or we dip into Dragonlance and Kryn, and it's Raceland. If we're dropping big names. However, Vi would be a big name, or rather, it's a name that's popular with many people, but would come to fruition. For instance, I didn't know Volothamp Gedarm until Volo's Guide came out. And then I learned about Volo. I'm like, wow, this guy's he gets around. And then look at the paint set, Nolzur's. We have the magic item, Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, but they translated that into the figurines and the paint set you can get for the actual D&D IRL game. So yeah, like Fi's, yeah.
Magic Compendium, yeah, I like that.
You all right, you heard it here first.
Also, it's another thing that's kind of an outside is that so far we've had 3 guys. Well, 2 guys and a beholder. No ladies. And I know that Wizards is trying to add more representation of other genders and beliefs and perspectives. So yeah, why the hell not?
That could play a part as well. Yeah. You make a good case for why we might see the character of Vi. So everyone read up on Vi, and then from here, go into your circles and you plant those seeds and say, you heard it here first from Super Jamoose on Matty Morgs, and I'm spreading the word. We're gonna see if this is true.
Other than that, my voice is approaching the threshold of
Yep.
wrecked.
It's time to wrap
It's
things
very
up.
very close to 3 in the morning here.
Yeah. Oh.
But this has been a lot of fun.
This
Do
was
not regret-
tremendous. Would you, Jamoose, would you be willing to come back and talk about other things at other times with me?
I could potentially do something like that for sure.
Might be able to twist your arm. Okay.
That could be. I'm also hearing a lot of compliments on my voice. Thank you very kindly. Hey, I'm available to do voice if you're into that sort of thing. You want a little bit of authoritative oomph to your voice casting? Yeah, I'm up for sale. Sure, give me a line.
All right. So what we're gonna do, everyone? Let's spread the D&D cheer over to some other people that I collude with very happily. D&D time. They're probably getting towards the end of their legendary game. In fact, tonight they're running 2 legendary one-shots. This is for their high-end players that have struggled and fought and gone through a lot of adventures over there. They are definitely friends of the channel, and I want to go give them a raid. Come along with me. And let's cheer them on, give them some joy and luck, and we'll see what condition they're in. Ooh, they could be turned into hamburger by now. We'll find out. Pete and Jeremy could be pretty rough, even though it's always a fun time, but they have some cool, unique challenges. So once more, thank you to SuperJamoose. Let's go say hi to Pete and Jeremy. We're all one big family. Thanks so much to all of you out in Chatland as well for your questions, your interaction. It was amazing, and I hope we do more content like this in year 3. Coming up at the end of January. By that I mean, we probably will. I'll see you over at D&D time, my friends.